Okay guys, still working on the main cabinet control panel, and got a little slowed down here. My pace slowed down some. I didn't get finished with all the buttonholes because I wanted to figure out exactly which admin buttons I wanted to have on the panel. I know I want to have a coin up and a start button for player 1 and player 2, but I didn't know if I wanted any more admin buttons. I thought it might be nice to have maybe a pause button and escape button, and you know, sometimes there's other buttons people like to put in there, but I wasn't sure if I wanted all that on the main control panel, because you can hold a button and create like a shift with the iPad controllers. You can like shift a button by holding down another one, and it will like make like your normal player buttons there. They can do a second function. You could make those like escape or pause or something if you hold down like player 1 or something like that, or you can even make a joystick direction be sometimes a shift, and you can hold it in a direction and press a button a certain way or something. I haven't really looked into that much, but I know it works, and I don't want to put any extra buttons that I don't necessarily have to if I can get it to work with the shift button. So, you know, I may make the control panel kind of lean, but you know, a couple of min buttons up top wouldn't hurt. Don't necessarily think I need 2 mouse buttons to go along with the trackball, but that function is built in. So that's like having 2 extra buttons right here on the little USB controller for the trackball. There's a way to wire into that, and you have a left and right mouse. So, you know, that's like getting, you know, 2 extra buttons kind of. So I may use that feature, but I'm not sure yet. But today, received something in the mail, and this is the beginning of our artwork for the main cab. I went ahead and ordered this. I didn't have the funds to get it all right now, but I went ahead and done this. This is for the control panel overlay, and I haven't showed you guys any of this, haven't told you about it or anything, and I guess I'll just go ahead and open it and let you see what I've got here, and I'll tell you a little bit of story as I go along. Well, about a year or so ago, I was thinking about artwork for the main cab, and I was excuse me, I'm getting a knife here. I was looking around on some websites and stuff, looking around on eBay, and I thought, well, you know, I can get some of this multi game art or something that shows, you know, Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and all this stuff on there, some of the classics. And I was like, well, that's kind of generic, you know. Then they had some like overlays and stuff that just looked kind of like I don't know, kind of like a drawer paper or something that you would get for the kitchen. Some of it was just marble, looking like marble paper, and just plain colors like plain black and stuff. And I kept looking and looking, and I said, well, I'm not satisfied with any of that. And this right here was printed for me from this old game. And I've heard that they make really good overlays and marquees, side art, and people have been really satisfied with them, a little more than Game On Graphics and I think MameMarquees.com and some other places. But I've heard this old game has done some really good repro work for you know, artwork for like Mortal Kombat 1 and stuff. I followed a thread in in the Arcade Controls forum, and it was showing how rich at this old game was, you know, doing the Mortal Kombat 1 graphics and stuff for the side art, and it turned out really great, and he started offering them for sale. And I think he has Mortal Kombat 2 and probably Mortal Kombat 3 full side art, and of course all the control panel overlays and stuff for that and other classics. And what I did is I started thinking, I said, well, you know, he does custom printing, and so does some other sites and all. But since, you know, I've heard so much good things, you know, people had good results out of what he's printed, you know, it looked really good and it was durable and all. I said I'd like to go with him, but I want to do something custom, and I want to do something different than anybody else. So I started looking around on the DeviantArt website. And on the DeviantArt website, there was a couple of guys that I kind of whittled it down to that had art styles that I really liked. Now, one of them was more futuristic, kind of. It had, you know, stuff with robots and spaceships, and some of it had like some dragons and stuff like that, or mechanical spiders, mechanical scorpions and stuff like that. Some of it showed like planetscapes and stuff, you know, futuristic type looking Earth you know, pictures that were photorealistic, and I kind of was torn between that and somebody who was doing artwork like stuff similar to Dungeons and Dragons, stuff that was from like Magic the Gathering. And I found these two artists, and they had actually done some professional work. One of them had done some artwork. Well, let me show you real quick. I want to set the artwork down here for a second. Here's a sample. I have it up as a background right now. But anyway, this is just some art here, and it doesn't fit my screen. I just threw it up there. But I've just been using it for a while now, and I actually can't remember the guy who made it. Let me see if I can find my list here. I think his name was Ben. Got so many notes here on my desk. Where's it at? Where's it at? There we go. Ben Wooten. Ben Wooten did this art here, and it's really pretty cool looking. You can see there's people trying to attack a dragon, and dragons basically roasting most of them. But he's a decent pixel artist. He does stuff like Dungeons and Dragons type backgrounds, a lot of stuff with monsters and warriors. He has actually, if I'm not mistaken, from what I remember reading, he has done some work for cards for games like Magic the Gathering, and his art was actually featured on some of those cards and stuff. And I tried to contact him and see if he would do me some custom artwork, and I was willing to pay him. Well, he said he was going to contact me back in March 2013, and I had contacted him in, I think, January, and he said he'd get back with me before the end of March. Well, he never got back with me. And I fired an email off to him to see if he was interested in, possibly still doing it. And I didn't get a response. And I said, well, he's a bit busy. I'm not going to bug him anymore. So I'm going to hit this other guy up. And I was looking at, there were some other artists on there. There was one who goes by M Creator, one who goes by Ace of Spades, one who goes by Separino. And they all had nice looking artwork, but I finally looked at this guy named Andrée Wallen, and he had some futuristic artwork. It wasn't, anything like this. It didn't look anything like Dungeons and Dragons, but it looked really realistic. A lot of his stuff looks, kind of like it has some photorealism to it, and I really like some of his stuff, and I contacted him and I said, hey, are you interested in being hired out to do any custom artwork? And I couldn't pay that much, but I figured I could pay for at least a couple images and use them on my cabinet for maybe the marquee and the control panel overlay, and then either use a logo for the side art or repeat one of them for side art. And he didn't have time to do any custom artwork, but he gave me permission to use any of his current images as they were on my arcade cabinet, and royalty free, as long as I didn't reproduce it and put it on multiple cabinets and try to resell it, as long as it was just a one-off thing just for my cabinet. He said I could use any of his images. So I looked online at his artwork, and I named off some. He had some artwork by the titles of Deep Impact, Scorpitron, Dragon versus Soldiers, Searching, and Mobilize. And there were some other ones, but those are the ones I was mainly interested in. And two of them that I really liked. One was Scorpitron. It was a giant mechanical scorpion that was in kind of it looked like an overgrown forest setting that had been near like a building or a city, but it had grown up over like years and years time. And then there was another one called Dragon versus Soldiers, which was just that. It looked like a kind of a realistic dragon flying through the middle of a city, and these futuristic looking soldiers were battling it. And he didn't have copies of those in high-res format. They were on another machine, a workstation that he had done them on, and he didn't have easy access to them. But he did have access to three others. He had access to Deep Impact, Searching, and Mobilize, three pieces of art that he had done, and he had them in high res. Because at first he told me I could use anything that was on DeviantArt. Well, the artwork you look at on there is not in very high resolution. You can get, probably some art off of there and try to blow it up, but it's going to pixelate. Well, he actually emailed me back with attachments of a high-res version of Deep Impact, a high-res version of Searching, and a high-res version of Mobilize. Well, I'm not going to show you the other two. If you're curious enough, you can look it up, because that's going to be in a future video if I use those other two, Searching and Mobilize. But right now, Deep Impact is the one that I have had printed up to use for my control panel overlay. And the cool thing about it is, it goes along with the TortureBot theme. Let me put my camera back. And I went ahead and had this printed up at a size that would fit this control panel here. It's about, I think, 14 inches by 31 and a half. Here I am looking at the tube and I've already taken it out. Let me carefully cut this open here. The whole office is a mess here. I got stuff everywhere, so. Okay, and what it is this goes along with the TortureBot theme because it's a robot and it's called Deep Impact. And I think it's supposed to look like a robot has either jumped from some spaceship up above him and landed, down on the ground and kind of landed, it's kind of a famous position. It looks like, a superhero or a warrior or a robot or something falls from a high area, and when they hit the ground they kind of hit down with their knee, bent down, and their fist hitting the ground. It kind of looks like that, but it's got a little bit of foam padding inside. Drop all that out. Let me see if I can go back on my zoom here. Okay, it's not zoomed. All right, but this is on 3M adhesive paper, and he had to whittle just a hair off the bottom of it so that it would fit the control panel as I have it. Don't know if you guys can see that too well. But there's the robot. Looks like there's a couple missiles being fired going by him. Spaceship hovering in the background. It's like there's a battle going on. Let me see if I can put this down on the carpet. Get an idea of it there. But when I seen that robot, he reminds me of Megatron a little bit. And I said, you know what, that looks pretty darn cool. I said, looks like you can see the dirt flying up. It's like he just jumped from a high location, maybe from a spaceship, and hit the ground, and he's ready for battle. And you see there's missiles being fired at him, going by him. There's a spaceship in the background and some explosions. You can see some extra missiles and stuff. And it was, to me, it just was interesting because I said, hey, my name on YouTube is TortureBot, and that has a robot theme to it. Looks nice and futuristic. I don't think it'll block too much of the robot if we mount this in the control panel like it is. The trackball should be right around this area. Joystick and buttons should be right around here. I don't think we'll block his face out with those. And the other joystick and button will be right over here. That explosion might be close to where the joystick's going to be. Hopefully we won't cover too much of it up. Most of the ship will be visible. But anytime you're doing artwork like this, if you don't shrink it down and stick it in certain areas where the controls aren't going to be, then you're going to cover some of it up. But I knew that, and I didn't want to really enhance, modify, add to, or take away from this art too much, because this is, this is the artist's work, and I want to have it, as original as possible. The only thing that happened was down here at the bottom, he maximized this piece of artwork so that once it was printed, it would be the correct width and height. But you're going to lose something either in width or height depending on the size of your control panel. You've got to cover the whole thing, so you're going to have to expand it till both the width and the height are met. And once you do that, there's going to be either a little bit too much up and down or a little bit too much left and right. Something's going to have to be lost, because unless you just come up lucky and your control panel is exactly the right size to fit that image. So we had to lose just a little bit at the bottom. I think it was maybe 3/4 of an inch or so. It wasn't very much. And all it was just a little terrain down here. But we got all the robot in, we got the spaceship in, the explosions and everything. So, and this looks like some really durable stuff. You can feel the thickness of it. It's really thick. It feels like I don't know how to describe it, kind of like a artist tapestry or something, canvas maybe. That's what it feels like. On his site they say what it is. I can't remember right offhand. But looks really good. I think after I put it on the control panel and I put a piece of plexi over it or Lexan, that's gonna like kind of add to the shininess too. But looks nice. Got good details in it. Just wanted to show you guys that. That's the first piece of art. And before long here, I finished my buttonholes and get my hinge mounted. I'm going to put this artwork on that panel and show you what the finished product looks like. It'll probably be a video or two away from now, but just eager to show you guys this, open it up and make sure it arrives safely. Oh, almost forgot to share a tidbit. This was some information that I alluded to in earlier videos concerning the artwork for my MAME cabinet. You may be wondering, why are we looking at a Tom Cruise Oblivion movie poster? Well, the guy who did the artwork for my MAME cab, who is allowing me to use his artwork, did the artwork for this movie poster. Now, of course, there were probably a lot of people who had submitted work to them. They had a lot of stuff that were preliminary, images, things that they were thinking about doing, conceptual artwork and stuff. But this is what they settled on, and there's probably some other movie posters out there that are a little different than this that show Tom Cruise in scenes like this. But this one was made by Andrée Wallen, and if you look on the DeviantArt website, and I'll put the spelling for his name in the description on this video, you can find probably other pieces of his artwork, including this, that you can take a look at. And this is, like a lot of his artwork, it's kind of futuristic. It's realistic, a lot of it's kind of almost photorealistic. And a lot of his stuff has to do with either the future or space, sometimes technology and stuff like that. And he does have a lot of stuff with like robots and stuff in it. But just wanted to share that with you. That was kind of a little, I don't know if you'd say a little Easter egg or a little candy cane about the artwork on my MAME cabinet. I thought it was ultra cool, and it's another reason why, this being a true artist, I didn't want to change any of his artwork if I don't have to. Hopefully I'll be able to put it in use on the cabinet just the way it is without modifying it or cutting too much of it out. You may have to crop a little here and there, but I'm just really pleased to have somebody with this type of talent doing the artwork and letting me use art that he has made. Not that he's done the artwork exactly for my MAME cabinet, but just getting his permission and knowing that I'm using it and getting high-res pictures that I can print out. It's just really means a lot. So hope you guys enjoy the other artwork that I get printed up in the future. And I've got a couple other images that I'm going to use probably for the marquee and some of the side art, but that's yet to come.